Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here to talk to you about a very large box of Eduard van Beinum, the fabulous Beinum, von Beinum, whatever you want to call him. He was one hell of a conductor. Wonderful conductor, the leader of the Concertgebouw Orchestra before Haitink got his hands on them. And oh my gosh, he made some fabulous records. They've been treated rather dismissively by Universal. I mean, Philips did some things when they were still Philips, before they became Decca. There were a couple of 4 or 5 disc sets. It was 1 and 2 volumes. There's about 10 discs in all, maybe a little more. And his Bruckner came out separately, and his Brahms symphonies were issued separately. There were some things. He wasn't completely disregarded, but a lot of those were not internationally distributed, or they were local Dutch productions, back when Philips was, of course, a Dutch label. So Beinum did not get, I think, the attention that he deserved. He was a true musician's musician, as I've had the opportunity to say on previous occasions. He was not flashy. He was not given to excess of rhetoric. He was just a really marvelous conductor who worked from the inside out. In other words, he knew the workings of the orchestra, particularly his recordings with the Concertgebouw, which are legendary and just splendid. He lived barely into the stereo era, and I think that he's just an important voice. It's not that he did so much unusual repertoire or he had any particular specialty. He was just good, just plain good in almost everything he did. And, there are, in this Scribendum box that we're going to talk about, the Scribendum box, there are 40 discs, which is a lot of stuff. So if you are a fan of Van Beinum, you definitely are going to want this. You don't get any notes. Everything is just sort of stuck there on a disc, and you have to sort of deal with it as it comes. But where else are you going to get it? We really need some devoted attention, because he recorded mostly for Philips or for Decca. So Universal has everything. And they could remaster it and put it in a beautiful box and do something lovely with it, like Sony is doing with some of their historical boxes, like Bruno Volta or Metropolis, which is coming. But there seems to be no word coming from Decca, and I'm almost afraid to know what Decca would do with it. I really am, because they've really been sort of a mess lately. But let's see what's in here, and I'm just going to tell you. I mean, most of you know who he is. And those of you who don't know who he is, I wouldn't ask you to buy 40 discs of this stuff at once. This is just by way of a public service. I'm going to tell you what's in here. But for most of you, just find something of his. Listen particularly to Brahms, Bruckner, Debussy, and we'll talk about a couple other things as they come. And Mahler, of course. And you'll see. You'll hear for yourself the kind of conductor he was, that kind of unaffected, natural, organic, flowing, marvelous, just wonderful to listen to. And he had a great orchestra when he was working with the Concertgebouw, for sure. Even immediately after the Second World War, they were still a great orchestra in their rebuilding phase. And then he was a great conductor, so he could make them sound like a great orchestra anyway. So let's just see what's in here, and we'll take it from there. Shall we? I have to put it on the chair here next to me. Let's get out the first pile. Oh, my goodness, there's so much stuff here. Okay, CD number 1, Bruckner 5, with the Concertgebouw. It's live from 1959. It's a very, very good Bruckner 5. It really is. It's amazing. His Bruckner is very fast by today's standards, and totally natural and well-balanced and coherent above all. The thing that we usually do not associate with Bruckner. It's really first rate. And then we have the Bruckner 8, which is also with the Concertgebouw from 55. And Bruckner 9, we're just going to go through this. I'm not going to make a big issue because they're all really good. Bruckner 7, and a little Dutch thing, Willem Pieper, or Piper, however you want to pronounce it. Symphony number 3, which is only 12 minutes and 50 seconds long. And it's quite worth listening to. Piper was an interesting composer. And here's another Bruckner 8. Look at that. From 55 live instead of studio. It's like really cool. Das Lied von der Erde by Mahler. and the Songs of a Wayfarer. This is with Nan Merriman and Ernst Hayfliger. And with the Concertgebouw, there's no date given. Oh, there is one, pardon me, 56. So there you go. At least we know when it was. And let's see, Mahler 6. This is a live recording from 1955. Some of these are studio air checks, and the sound is it's not going to be great. You can't get your hopes up, but it's all quite listenable. And Mahler 4 with Franck Sichet. That was sort of one of his specialties. He did Franck a couple times, I believe. This is from 52 and 51. It's a beautiful Mahler 4 with Margaret Ritchie, soprano. Brahms, Symphonies 1 and 2. His Brahms is just great. His Brahms is as good as Brahms gets. It's so completely, beautifully balanced and warm and humane and spun out and just gorgeous. Absolutely great. So you've got Symphonies 1 and 2. This is from 54, and they're in number 2, or one of them is in stereo. I think number 1 is in stereo. At the very least, it says both of them are, but I don't think both of them are. And then we've got Symphonies 3 and 4. And number 4 is in stereo. It's from 58 also. Just listen to this Brahms. It's so completely effortless. It sounds like he's composing it as he conducts it. It's wonderful. And he's got the orchestra playing it so beautifully, especially those famous woodwinds. Oh, Brahms 1, another one. Academic Festival Overture and the Tragic Overture. One of these will be with the London Phil, but it's not this one. So these are from 51 and 52 with the Concertgebouw, or so it says. We'll see. Brahms, Haydn Variations, and Schubert 9, 1950, question mark. Well, I have no answer to that. I really don't. I have no clue. But what the heck? Brahms 1, Stravinsky Firebird Suite. Here we go. More stuff. This is all live radio air check stuff. And so, you have to, I was dipping into it just recently to see if it was tolerable. And yeah, it's tolerable, but some of it is barely tolerable. And the Firebird Suite's really kind of fun to have. Schubert, Symphonies 3, 6, and 8, the unfinished. This is a famous, famous record. This is with the Concertgebouw, and they are beautiful Schubert performances. Absolutely gorgeous. These are not original jackets because there were no original jackets. So don't get your hopes up for that either. Schubert, Symphony number 4, the Rosamunde Overture, Mendelssohn, the Hebrides. This is London Phil stuff. And the Overture and some incidental music, 2 bits, the Notturno and Scherzo from A Midsummer Night's Dream. The Midsummer Night's Dream Overture is just beautiful. Really quick and totally elegant and light and terrific. And then we've got another Schubert Rosamunde, the entr'acte and ballet music, and another Franck Sichet. This is from 1941 live, so it's much earlier. The sound is correspondingly dimmer. And Tchaikovsky, Romeo and Juliet with the London Phil, and the Nutcracker Street with the Nutcracker Suite, not street. Yes, he lived on Nutcracker Street. No, the Nutcracker Suite with the Concertgebouw. We're up to CD 17. Here's an Elgar disc, which is with the London Phil, naturally, because no one else is going to touch it. Sorry, Elgarians. The Wand of Youth, Suite number 1 and 2, and Coquenya, from 49, with the London Phil, which is really sort of a grubby-sounding orchestra in the 40s and early 50s, but he makes them play. He gets them to play well. And we have Brahms, Haydn Variations again, Symphony number 2 again, 1952 and 55 live. Who knew there was that much stuff, huh? It's really amazing. When I was doing radio, I used to get a series called Dutch Concert Hall. I've done a lot of public radio here. It was all over the place, because it was given away free by the Dutch embassy to whoever wanted it. And there was a lot of Beinum stuff in there. There were all kinds of tapes and reel-to-reel stuff and all kinds of fun things there. Really, really first rate. For some reason, Siri just activated herself, and I didn't no get idea that. Why. See, there she went. Well, we got rid of her. I don't know what happened. She just spontaneously popped up. Maybe I said her name accidentally in this somewhere. I don't know. You can tell me. Debussy, Nocturnes. Oh, great Nocturnes. Fabulous. And La Mer and the March Écossaise and the Berceuse Héroïque from 1957. Some of this is in stereo. And oh, it's wonderful. His Debussy was exquisite. It was so beautifully shaped and perfectly paced. It's just marvelous. Then we have Debussy, the Image, and La Mer, and Printemps, also with the Concertgebouw. This is from 41, 42, and 48, and it's all live. So you've been warned. And then we've got Ravel, Bolero, and La Valse. These are quite good. Quite surprisingly good. It's fun to hear the Concertgebouw of this period because they had much more distinctive timbres than they later did. The woodwinds were really good. The first trumpet had a lot of vibrato. The trombones had this sort of tightly focused sound that cut through the texture without ever having to blast. I mean, it's really, really some unique sonorities. And you also have Daphnis and Chloe, Suite Number 2. And did I say the complete Debussy Image? Ooh, not too shabby. From 1954. And what's this? CD1. Okay, so that's the first half. Now we have intermission. You can get up, go to the bathroom, grab yourself a drink, get a snack, because I am reaching for the next pile. Here is next pile. Beginning with CD22, Bach Orchestral Suites, numbers 1, 2, and 3. Okay, it's old-fashioned Bach. And that's from 1955 and 1956 with some really fabulous flute playing by Hubert Barwasser. Oh, yeah. All you Barwasser fans, get going because you're going to want to hear this. Then we've got Bach Orchestral Suite number 4, J.C. Bach, a couple of symphonies, and Beethoven 2. Well, that's a good deal. These are from 56, 58, and 54, also with the Concertgebouw. I mean, you realize this is like a whole legacy of the Concertgebouw Orchestra. And it just blows my mind that Philips Decca has not done this more systematically and released a beautiful box of all this stuff. I mean, it's really kind of a crime. But, crime is sort of their middle name when you deal with these major labels and their stuff. Beethoven, the creatures of Prometheus. Not all of it, just a suite. And Mozart's Hafner Symphony with the London Phil. This is from 1952, Kingsway Hall recordings, which aren't bad. Then Beethoven Overtures, Prometheus from 46, Leonore number 1 from 49, number 3 from 52, Fidelio from 52. These are all 52 after that. Egmont, Coriolan, and The Consecration of the House from 1950. These are all London Phil recordings. So the orchestra isn't quite as good. It's a shame. But that's okay. At least we have them. And then Beethoven 2 and 7. Again, this is with the Philharmonia. 1958 Royal Festival Hall. Beethoven Symphonies 2 and 7. Did I say 7? Well, here they are. So you've got them if you want them. And, here we are. CD27, the Eroica. Yeah, with the introduction. Oh, it's a real concert, a live concert with an introduction. Spoken introduction, so it comes off the radio. And that's fine. That's okay. Handel, the Water Music, Chrysander version from 58, stereo. It's fun to hear Baroque music played by these guys back in the old days, in the old-fashioned method, which was, to just play it as if it was written yesterday with the instruments we have today and see how well it works. And, of course, it usually did. Which tells us something, doesn't it? Mozart, Post-Horn Serenade, Symphony number 29 from 56 with the Concertgebouw. Mozart, 40, Rehearsal. A rehearsal of the G minor symphony, which is really quite fun, from 56 live. And then Ambroise Thomas, the Mignon Overture, and The Merry Wives of Windsor by Nicolai and Strauss. Don Juan with the Staatstheater Stuttgart. That's live, 55. It says Staatstheater Stuttgart. That's probably where it was, because these are all with the Concertgebouw. His Don Juan is really just ideally paced as well. It's almost exactly the same as Kempa, 16 minutes and a little bit, That's how long it really should take most of the time. I mean, that's what it should be done. Haydn, Symphonies 94, 96, and 97 from 51, 52, and 53 with the Concertgebouw. Beautifully played, elegant, shapely, musicianly, just like everything Beinum did. And then we've got the military, Haydn's Military Symphony with the London Phil from 46. This is kind of scruffy, I have to confess. Beethoven's Egmont, which is live at the UN Assembly Hall in New York. So obviously they were in town for the UN, which is interesting. Mendelssohn's Italian Symphony, 55 with the Concertgebouw. Berlioz, Symphonie Fantastique, Damnation of Faust, the usual bits, the Hungarian March, the Dance of the Sylphs, the Minuet of the Feu Follet, of the whatever they're called thingies, and Will o' the Wisps, or whatever they call them. They translated it into English. I still have no idea what they're talking about. It's some sort of fairy object. And then the Roman Carnival, 51, with the Concertgebouw Orchestra. Benjamin Britten, this is a very, very fine record. You get the Spring Symphony, which was done live in 1949. The Four Sea Interludes from Peter Grimes. The Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra with Joe Vincent, Kathleen Ferrier, which is why this performance sometimes gets trotted out once in a while. And Peter Pears, all with the Concertgebouw. And it's lovely. It's lovely. And Ferrier fans, of course, just are dying to hear her go jub jub hooey and titty poo poo and all the little birdie things that happen in the Spring Symphony. Then we've got more Britten, the Four Sea Interludes again, and the Passacaglia from 1947. This is with the Concertgebouw. And then Sibelius stuff, Ansaga, Tapiola, Vals Trieste, and Finlandia, 57, Amsterdam. Yeah, baby, do it for me. Bartók, Concerto for Orchestra, 48, Amsterdam. This is a famous recording with that sort of first trumpet who had perhaps too much personality. I think sometimes he was a little sour, but what the heck. The music for strings, percussion, and celesta from 1955 in Amsterdam. And Malcolm Arnold's Beckus the Dandyprat. This is the 1947 world premiere performance with the London Philharmonic. Not too shabby, huh? Oh, yes, another Stravinsky Firebird Suite from 56. And The Rite of Spring with the Concertgebouw from 46. And, sonically rather limited. And like most European orchestras at this time, they really didn't have percussion sections. They had strange sounding percussion. Whatever they could get their hands on that percussed seems to be what they used. And you got to wonder what the composers must have thought writing for these ensembles that really had such an odd sonority. Everyone was going to be completely different from everyone else. And some people find that characterful. I find it very characterful as long as they can, play what the composer wrote, which a lot of these orchestras could not, or it didn't sound right. It was very odd. And then the Song of the Nightingale from 1956. Only 3 more to go. Respighi, The Fountains of Rome, 49 live. Tchaikovsky, Romeo and Juliet, 1940 live. And Symphony No. 4, 1941 live. 1941 and 40. It seems to be a compilation of a couple different performances. Or is that Romeo and Juliet? Now it's hard to tell what it is. Concertgebouw, and there you go. Now the Borodin Polovtsian or Polovetzian dances. You can pronounce it either way, so don't give me any crap about it, friends, please. Scheherazade, yay, from 56 in Amsterdam. This is interesting. It was 3 to 12 April or 17 July or 22 to 29 May. Do not ask me what that means. And the Hariano Suite from 1956. And then it says Max Reger. And it doesn't say what Max Reger is doing down there with his dates and no music attached there too. So I don't worry about it. Oh, there it is. Max Reger, the Ballet Suite. That's what it was. They have his name on that one. Here's the work. And then Schoenberg's 5 orchestral pieces. And Rudolf Escher's Musique pour l'Esprit en Deuil, which is actually rather lovely. And Hendrik Andriessen, who was a wonderful composer, his 4th symphony. We have to talk about Hendrik Andriessen. We really do. His orchestral music's all been recorded now on CPO, and it's a wonderful series, and we need to go through it. We really do. So that's 55 live, and that, my friends, let's put it back in the box, is Eduard van Beinum. It's really quite an assortment of stuff, a very wide range of repertoire, And it's all here at a very, very reasonable price. And so if you are a fan of Van Beinum, and who isn't, you will want this if you don't have it already. Some of it you may have gotten. If you're like me and you've just been collecting stuff since like the dawn of humanity, you may have the more normal stuff on alternate releases or standard releases by the requisite major label. But a lot of this stuff is unavailable in one place elsewhere because, as I said, it's live stuff and radio broadcast stuff, and some of the provenance may be a little iffy and the sonic's a little grotty. But, for historical people, first of all, don't care about such things. I do. I tend to. I think, 40 discs of this stuff, quite frankly, is a lot. And there's quite a bit of duplication of repertoire, from Brahms to Stravinsky. There you get more than one version of things, and Tchaikovsky and stuff like that. So you may not want all this. I mean, it's a real serious, heavy-duty collector's box. But with that said, you come away with only a heightened appreciation and admiration for Eduard van Beinum, the man, and the musician, because he was just a tremendous musician. And I was very happy to have this and to work my way through it. And I have very, very happy feelings about it. And I hope if you get it, you share my happy feelings. So keep on listening, folks. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care. If I can find a way to turn this off, let's try it again. Take care.